Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Justin Alio, Senior Director of the Readiness Institute at Penn State, a Penn State outreach initiative with a mission to enable education, industry, and community partners to coordinate, collaborate, and create experiences for all learners to achieve community and future readiness. I'm so excited for our speaker series today, our monthly topic of community engagement. We have a very exciting special guest today. But before I introduce her, I just want to remind everyone that if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And also this session will be recorded. So if you want to share it or watch it again, you can go to readinessinstitute.psu.edu. So we're going to jump right into the speaker series today on our topic, community engagement. I'm so thrilled and honored for our special guest today to introduce Delvina Morrow, the Senior Director of Strategic Community Initiatives and DEI at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Delvina, welcome to our Readiness Institute Speaker Series. How are you?
I'm well, Justin. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to talk with everyone today.
Oh, wonderful. So community engagement, obviously, it's something we're very passionate about, getting all learners ready for community and future readiness. I know it's something you're very passionate about, you and the organization you work for, the Penguins. So before we jump into that, though, one of the things that we always try to tell learners when we talk to them in person or webinars or even adult learners are talking about pathways. And so before we jump into what you do at the Penguins and what you do, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your personal and professional pathway of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. And, again, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to talk with everyone today to talk about community engagement. And like you said, professional pathways, that's so important for people to understand. I'm a first generation college student and I studied anthropology. And I remember my mom was always just like, what are you going to do with this? And what reigns truth then and still now is that, I always followed my passion. And so when I talk about my professional pathways, I'm going to, kind of talk about my passion and what has led me to where I am today, from anthropology to now working in sports and development, for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I've been working really at the center of community engagement, strategic thinking, and development for over 10 years. So I've worked with the nonprofit sector, for-profit sector, life sciences, technology, and now sports. As I mentioned, passion, I really dedicated my work to bringing people together, to advancing missions, and to being all in as a leader and as a part of whatever team that I've been fortunate to be a part of. When I look at my professional pathway, I mentioned that I went to college and studied anthropology. And right after college, I went into the nonprofit sector. So I was doing fundraising for nonprofit organizations. So working with board of directors and raising money for critical need organizations in New York City. And then I relocated to Pittsburgh. And when I relocated to Pittsburgh, I saw an opportunity to take all of my skill sets, with, community development, working with nonprofits, working with people really in advancing missions. And I started to work in the tech and the life sciences industry. And that was a really great opportunity for me. Eventually, I then came to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So in 2019, I took on the role as a director of strategic community initiatives for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So during that time, I was responsible for managing key external projects and initiatives tied to our Lower Hill redevelopment project. This is a massive development. If you've been to the arena, if you watch the news, if you Google the Lower Hill redevelopment, you'll see some of the work that we have going on. We have recently, broke ground on, one of our towers, which is really exciting. And so I work on projects specifically tied to that as it relates to the community engagement and consensus building around that. I also, during, this time in 2019, leading into 2020, oversaw the creation of the community impact plan alongside our COO as it relates to F&B's engagement within the community. I also helped to spearhead our impact at the Ammon Rec Center, which is a community park center that really, brings the community together, and we work together to infuse tech into that space, which was really exciting. And then in 2020, as we all know, COVID happened and life changed for everyone. I think it's fair to say. And, there was a lot of social injustices going on. And, from a community standpoint, we were doing so much, even during COVID. We were, out in the community doing food drives, doing pizza drives, doing things to, support and help our community during this really trying time. And we were also reflecting and looking internally as to what we can do to enhance our community inside, which led us to creating our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, which I lead and now run, officially in my capacity as Senior Director for Strategic Community Initiatives and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So, when you look at pathways, there has definitely not been, it hasn't been A, B, C, D leads to, X, Y, Z for me. It's been, A, one, apples, bananas, oranges. It's really been all different. But at the end of the day, for me, when I look at my career pathway, it's always been about following my passions. And that's led me to where I am today.
Well, I wrote 3 words down. When you said these 3 words, you lit up. And the first one I wrote down was passion. When you said it about 2 minutes ago, and you finished on the word passion, the other 2 words, people and impact. You lit up when you said passion, people, and impact. And so that kind of summarizes your personal and professional pathway. And I think anyone listening right now, or anyone that we ever chatted about with their personal and professional pathway, that seems to be the thread and theme: passion, people, and impact. And just follow that, do what you need to do, and it takes you where you need to be in life. So congratulations. I know the Penguins in Pittsburgh's lucky to have you in this role. So community engagement, you're doing a ton of things in community engagement. Can you just tell your perspective of what is community engagement and why? The big question, why is it so important to engage with communities?
Yeah. And so, as you said, those 3 words, passion, people, and impact. And so if you're in community engagement and if you don't light up when you say those 3 words, then you may, want to relook at that.
A different pathway, right?
And figure out how you can infuse that into, how you approach every project and every day while you're working in the community engagement realm. But to me, community engagement is all about listening and authentic collaboration. So, for me, I work with a lot of different organizations, and it's not my job always to have a solution, but it's my job to listen and to, be able to identify, how can I bring this partner to the table? How can I bring this organization to the table? How can I elevate this individual and what they're trying to do as it relates to community engagement? So I think when you look at community engagement, it's how do you bring positive change, to not only the community, and for me, it's 3 different ways. Like, how do I bring positive change to the community in which we operate in? Which is tricky because it's not only Pittsburgh, but that's our entire, our fan base reaches everywhere, it's worldwide. But then how do we also impact our partners? And so how do we, use community engagement to create positive experience for our partners and our fans? So, we really have to look at it through those different realms and identify ways in which we can work together to do that. And some of the ways in which we do that, we have our foundation. So we have the Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation, where we're able to, provide funding to different organizations and support them in that way. We do in-kind donations, we do financial donations, we do employee volunteer days, we do volunteer collaborations with our partners, with our community partners, and more. And again, when you look at community engagement, and I said this the other day, and when I was talking to someone from my college, it's how do you be a good neighbor? Mr. Rogers, I feel like, is in the spirit of all things Pittsburgh. And, when you're thinking about community engagement, it's all about like, how can I be a good neighbor? It snowed this weekend, and I told my husband, I was like, when you're done with our street, make sure you go around and get our neighbor, because she's older than us and she lives alone. And, so it's like, how do you lead with that in all that you're doing? Like, how do how do you go ahead and support the person that's around the corner from you? And that to me is good community engagement.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, I'm listening, and the word you talked about was listen, right? You have to listen to the community and see what they need. And I think the best way is listening, supporting what people need. And obviously you do that very well. My last question is, you talked about some ways that the Penguins, you get involved in the community, you engage with them. What's some things happening right now that you're working on, ways you're engaging with the community yourself, your husband shoveling snow, but some other ways that the Penguins are doing to engage the community right now, coming up? What are some specific examples that people can get involved with around community engagement? And what's something that, you're very proud of these things too?
Yeah, and so there's a lot going on. And so, I would love to point people to two different places. We have our Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation website. So you can just type in Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation on Google, and you'll pull up our website. And then also when you look at the Pittsburgh Penguins actual homepage, for our organization, there's a community tab, and click on the community tab and explore that. There's a drop down of all the different things that we do in the community, and I'll be able to speak to a few of those things specifically. And then also, as it relates to our development project, so our Lower Hill Redevelopment project, you can also go to the Lower Hill Redevelopment website and learn about what we're doing to impact and support the community. And so I'm going to start with there and then talk about a few things, as it relates to community engagement from those three different areas. So when looking at the Lower Hill Redevelopment, some of the things that we're trying to do is really garner the interest of the community as it relates to workforce development. So we have the First Source Center, which is located in the Hill District, and it's a free resource to the entire community. So we have staff there through the Lower Hill Redevelopment team, our development partners, where you can go in and meet with someone and learn about job opportunities. If you're a corporation or a nonprofit, you can also post opportunities there. And we really see this as our hub to, bring people together to listen to, what does the community need in terms of workforce, in terms of additional support. And we do it, we do that there. So we've worked with some of our corporate partners to host days where they're there and they're able to talk about all that they do. As it relates to our foundation, again, we have a lot going on there, but I'll highlight two things as it relates to our foundation. We have our Willie O'Ree Academy, and this is an opportunity for young Black youth who are already playing hockey to get the skill set and community around them to further excel in hockey. So it's a really great opportunity for kids to participate in this program. We just kicked this off this past year. It's a huge initiative for our organization and a really great opportunity. And then we also have a Hunt Armory. So Hunt Armory is it's our skating rink inside of the city limits. So again, this is an opportunity for the community to come together and learn to skate, just go ice skating, with your family, or even, have groups come together. So I've been working with different organizations where they're able to actually go to Hunt Armory and host a skate day. So, from a community engagement standpoint, if you're looking to get your groups together, Hunt Armory is a great place to do that. And you also get to learn how to skate or, just enjoy that experience on ice, which is such a unique and fun experience. And then, when looking at our organization, some of the work that we're doing and the work that I'm helping to lead on, right now we are, heavily underway in our Black History Month programming. So Black History Month for the Pittsburgh Penguins falls under our Hockey is for Everyone programming, which is a part of a series of programs that we have and that we celebrate throughout the year. And so Black History Month, or Black History Month game, is taking place on the 30th. And then we have virtual programming throughout the month of February that really we aim to inspire, connect, and elevate and engage all of our fans together. So this is a really great opportunity for our entire community to come together where there are limited barriers because the programming is virtual, it's free. So anyone, anywhere can sign on in the month of February and participate in our programs that we have in place, which is really exciting.
All of it's exciting. I mean, I think you talked about in-person activities, a lot of strategic thinking behind it, intentional thinking behind it to get the ways the communities are involved, virtual programs. Definitely go check those out. Emma Hance, who's on the call right now, our program manager at the Readiness Institute, is dropping some of these links into the chat in case you're watching and want to click on these links, please feel free to do that. But I encourage everyone to go to the Penguins website and click community and see the amazing things happening in the community. I could say that you and your organization are by far the role models, not just in Pittsburgh, but you said around the world. I mean, I do want to do one last follow-up question.
Yeah.
You know, when you think strategic planning in community, you think community here, there, and one of the things we try to have students focus on at the Readiness Institute is this part that you're part of a community that's local, but you're also part of a global community. So things on a global scale impact your local community, and what you do on a local community can impact on a global community. So I'm curious, and maybe some other people listening, strategic planning, DEI, community initiatives locally, but like world. I mean, you have people in countries, continents that are Penguins fans. Like, how do you engage with them on a community basis? You have the virtual programming, but any other things that you do to engage people on a global scale? I mean, if not, I'm putting you on the spot, but
no, you're
that
good.
just kind of like, wow, I think like Pittsburgh, but yeah, like Canada, Russia, all these hockey great places. I mean, I'm curious, like on a global scale, what do you do when it comes to community?
You know, I think, and specifically talking, you know, from my perspective and the work that I specifically work on, the virtual programming is so important. So last year for Black History Month, we had 4 weeks of programming where every single week we had a different program for Black History Month, and that was open worldwide. So we had people from all over participating in this program. And I think also what made that possible was that we didn't limit ourselves to saying, let's just partner with people in Pittsburgh. So, you know, we worked with, for example, the Black Girl Hockey Club, and the CEO and the creator of the Black Girl Hockey Club. She's out on the West Coast, right? And so she was able to, you know, bring that West Coast energy over to the East Coast for us. And then also, you know, I'm very fortunate, you know, I'm able to work with some of my counterparts, you know, from the league itself and then other teams to really talk about, you know, what are you guys doing? How can we potentially, you know, share information and talk about what's happening? And so even for our programming that we have for Black History Month, you know, I'll be sharing that with all of my counterparts across the league. So all of the different teams, you know, I'm hoping that they'll share what we're doing with their staff, for their staff to participate, you know, sharing it across their different social medias. And honestly, LinkedIn has been such a great asset to getting information out. And so, you know, whether it's just myself posting or different members of our team, you know, people see our presence, you know, from a professional standpoint on LinkedIn. You know, whether, you know, my network is mostly New York and Pittsburgh since I'm a New Yorker, and, you know, now I'm a Pittsburgher, all those things. But, you know, I think that using social media specifically to get our, you know, our intended impact out there is making all the difference in terms of, you know, creating not just a Pittsburgh impact, but, you know, a broader impact in the work that we're doing.
I love how you're actively engaging with partners.
It's so important.
I think, you know, we know the future of education and community awareness and society depends on the strengths of partners. So, so thank you so much. So if you're listening right now, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We're happy to take any questions. Delvina's happy to take any questions with the work that she's doing. I know that you left us with a tremendous amount of resources too. So that was pretty cool. Not just your thoughts and your actions, but resources. So we thank you for that. I mean, I'll be sharing this out in meetings coming up about the resources that you have available through the Penguins. So right now I don't see any questions in the chat, but I want to thank you so much, not just coming on our speaker series show, but thank you for what you do to engage communities. And I truly mean that as an educator, husband, father, all that stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's truly appreciated. And any final words of wisdom for anyone who's listening or will listen?
Yeah, no, and again, thank you so much for having me. And, I think what I want to leave people with is that anyone can be a community advocate. And so, look at your own community and look at the community that you work in and think about, how can I really make an impact? How can I make an impact inside of the walls in which I work and outside? And really try to understand, what does it take to do that? It could be something as simple as creating a volunteer opportunity and, going to your local, community advocate group and saying, I work for this company and I want to plan a volunteer day with you guys, and really understand, what are the little things that you can do? Maybe it's a book drive, maybe it's a clothing drive. You don't have to have a large group behind you, when you're in an organization to lead on community engagement and activism. And so I just encourage everyone to, start small or start big and, knock it out of the park. But, I'm always here as a resource to connect with people and to talk more about community engagement. So again, thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And that's such a powerful message that anyone, I think it's going to be our slogan for this episode, is that anyone can have a community impact. And we work with high school students all the time, and I'm encouraged by their mindsets, how they say, I'm 17, 16, I'm 18, and I can have a community impact by going into my community and doing these things. I'm going to start here and do this. And just to see their sense of fearlessness and optimism to change the world, of impacting the community. And you said it too, anyone can have an impact on their community. So
For sure.
thank you so much. Again, if you want to watch this again, go to the readinessinstitute.psu.edu website, and we'll be posting this online probably tomorrow through social media. Again, thank you so much. And please let us know if you ever need anything, Delvina, and congratulations on all the success that you're doing in the communities. I know Pittsburgh's really lucky to have you and what you do. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.